I'm going to give you 10 helpful tips on how to move across country on a very, very, very small budget. So many of you know that I have moved to Arizona. Yes, I am sitting in a closet. One of the questions that has been most asked of me since I've moved here is, how in the world did you afford to move all the way to Arizona from Wisconsin when you were completely broke? Great question. And I'm going to answer that for you today with 10 helpful hints of moving across country. It's very, very simple. For many of you who think the way that I do, you analyze things, you have to have a plan, you want to know everything, you have to have everything in place. Because if you're one of those people like me who feels like you have to save thousands and thousands of dollars in order to move anywhere, then this is going to be incredibly helpful for you to get you to your dream location. So let's get started. So as I said, you are one of those people that are probably thinking it costs thousands and thousands of dollars to move across country. It doesn't. In fact, it costs you more probably to move across town than it does across country. That is a fact that really surprised me in so many ways. I want to give you a little bit of background of what happened to us, just in case you haven't watched any of my videos. We were literally homeless. We had been putting in application after application for apartments, for homes in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and we were constantly being denied because of our bankruptcy. Our bankruptcy was discharged a year ago, and a year ago it wasn't an issue. But somehow along the way, throughout this past year, apartments made it much harder for people like us, just families who are living their lives and trying to get their feet back on the ground. They've made it so difficult for us to try to find a place to live. Our lease was ending on the 21st of August, and we had no place to go. We had nowhere. So because we only had 21 days through August, we were able to prorate our rent with our landlord. However, we had decided to leave a little bit earlier, which also let us pay less for that prorated rent. And we had a very good landlord who was willing to work with us on that, and that was incredibly helpful. One of the other factors that was ironic and terrible at the same time was Jared quitting his job. Jared was saying throughout this process of us not being able to find a place, maybe if I just quit my job, I can get my 401k, because if I quit my job, I can get my 401k, which is like $20,000. So if I just quit my job, we'll have the money. And it didn't make sense to me. I thought, you can't quit your job just so we can have money so that we can move and not have a job. But that really was our only option that we could see living back in Wisconsin, because it was costing us a fortune to even look for apartments. We were spending $50 here, $60 here on all of these places to put in our applications that never ever panned out. We were constantly rejected. So Jared was really kind of in a state of panic, as was I, because we literally had nowhere to live. So one day Jared said, how about we just move to Arizona? We just pick up and leave. And I was like, are you out of your ever-loving mind? That's gonna cost a fortune. He's like, well, I quit my job, we get my 401k, and we move. That's not how we moved, because we still have not received his 401k. We had nowhere to go, nowhere to live, and no money. So first of all, let me tell you what we did. We made the plan to move to Arizona. If you're like me and you're thinking, oh my gosh, you know, I don't know if I could do that. Well, you have to do your research. First of all, you have to find out, where do you really want to live? Where is it going to be like ideal for you? Where are you going to be happy? Where will you feel good? So you research that area. You need to find out, first of all, the marketplace for your job. Are you going to be able to find a job there? Moving here was ideal because there were a lot of jobs in Jared's field. That was a huge bonus, but that was part of our research. What kind of jobs are available? Are there a lot of jobs available? We also had to research rent. And that can be a really funny thing when you're talking about rent in another state. Let me explain that to you. When we were in Wisconsin, we were looking at places anywhere from $1,000 to $1,300. $1,300 was really pushing our high-end budget, because you have to keep everything into consideration. What are your utilities going to be? What is your water going to be? Is it going to be higher during the winter or the summer? Those are the things that you need to keep in mind as well. One of the things that you're going to notice from state to state, renting is completely different. So when you're starting to research rent in your dream area, your dream state, your dream city, wherever you're going, you have to keep in mind that it's going to be completely different from the last place that you were. Let's say you're looking for an apartment in Wisconsin for $1,300. Well, $1,300 means $1,300 unless you have pets. You're probably going to end up paying a pet deposit of $200 to $300. Some can even go up to $500. That's going to probably be refundable. Then what's probably going to happen if you have pets is you're going to end up paying a pet rent. This is the most silliest, ridiculous thing I've ever heard, but it's everywhere. So for each pet, you're going to have to pay an extra fee for them every month. That could be anywhere from $20 to $40 per pet. Now, most places in Wisconsin weren't allowing more than one pet. That was really a difficult thing. The other thing that we noticed in Wisconsin is that it wasn't pet friendly at all. Most places didn't even want to take pets, which was another problem. We could find places that were affordable for us and were perfect for us, but they don't allow pets. One of the things you have to consider too is if you want to live, like, let's say for us, we were moving in the Phoenix area and I didn't want to live in Phoenix. However, I would have considered that. But what we wanted to do is look around in the Metro Phoenix area. So we were looking in Mesa, Gilbert, Chandler, which is where we live now. So these smaller little towns, metro areas outside of Phoenix. You really have to start pricing every little area around to see what is going to be most affordable for you. Now, here's a little thing that we learned about moving to Arizona. If you're thinking about moving to Arizona, you have to really be careful, because you can look at the rent and go, whoa, oh my gosh, rent at this luxurious apartment is only $1,000 a month. You will. You'll get really excited about it, because I was. But the problem is that they don't tell you that rent is taxed here. Crazy, I know. And for each county, it's going to be different. Now, the other thing here in Arizona that they do is they also do pet deposits, but pet policy fees. When we were looking at a place that was $1,100, you had to pay a $200 pet deposit for your dog and a pet policy fee of $200 for your dog. Then you had to do a $200 pet deposit for your cat and a $200 pet policy fee for your cat. So right off the bat, you are looking at $800 just a fee to move in. We moved at a time when the snowbirds aren't here. One thing about the rent in Arizona is that it can fluctuate from day to day, minute to minute. It goes by the market price, and the market price can change at any time. So that could mean that an apartment at $1,100 today could be $1,200 tomorrow. It can go up or it can go down. You really never know. You want to call on the phone. Do not do the email thing. Do not contact them through Zillow or Trulia or any of these apartments.com, because you will get generic emails back. So the thing you want to do is you want to call. And that seems to be the thing of the past today. But you have to pick up the phone, people. You really do. You're going to have to get past this thing that, you know, your phone is your enemy, because your phone is your friend. When you start talking to apartments, you have to talk to somebody. Otherwise, it's going to be back and forth and they're not getting the right information and you're going to be wasting tons and tons of time. Just get on the phone and start taking notes about every single place. I had a notebook specifically for the apartments I was talking to every day. I asked them all the questions. because the first time I talked to somebody on the phone, she started spewing off all these fees. And I was like, because I was really excited about this place. This place was like a tropical island of its own. It had its own golf course and all this craziness. And it was only $1,200 a month. And I was like, woo, yeah, I'm moving there. However, when she started tacking on all the fees, it came to $1,500 a month. And I was like, what just happened? What? Well, she began to tell me that water in Wisconsin, I'm on Lake Michigan, so water is like, you know, a no-brainer. You only pay quarterly in Kenosha. Your water is going to probably be very cheap in areas where you're going to be closer to water. But here in Arizona, where there isn't a lot of water just to be tapped into and used for drinking water, showers, and things of that nature, you really are conserving water. You're really thinking about water in a different way here. What happens when you live in an apartment complex is that everybody gets pooled together. It's like you all split the water bill. One water bill comes to the complex, and everyone in the complex kind of splits it. It's like a community water bill. And then what they do is they determine how many people are in your household, how big is your household, like a square footage. And then that's how they determine how much you will pay in water. And it can vary anywhere from $40 to $70 a month. Don't run that water. Now, the other thing is electricity bills you have to keep in mind, and I did a video on how we keep our electric pretty low here, and I will actually go ahead and post it here. You can watch that video if you're thinking of moving to Arizona, or you live in Arizona and you're new to the area and you want to know, how do I conserve energy here and how do I keep my utility bill down? There's a lot of fees involved. It was just crazy expensive. All the fees tacked on were ridiculous. However, we were coming at a very good time. We were coming in August when a lot of places were offering special deals, low application fees, or they were waiving fees, one or the other. And every place was different. It wasn't like every place was offering deals, because some places were like, nope, we're not doing that right now. So that at my point was like, okay, I can't go there. And it was really just taking a list and making sure that you understood what this apartment complex was versus another complex. You know, when you're on Amazon and you're comparing products, that's what you're doing when you're apartment hunting. And you're doing this weeks in advance before you move. And you want to sign a lease before you leave. And I'll tell you how to do that as well. So when you start researching all this information on an apartment and you find out what all the fees are, you want to start looking for the better deals. Now, that could possibly mean that your rent could be higher maybe come later, which is going to happen to us. However, we were counting on Jared's 401k coming later anyway, so it wasn't a big deal for us. We needed something that was really, really cheap and inexpensive for us at the time that we moved in. Before we moved, before we even left Wisconsin, we had to know that we had a place that was going to be affordable for us to move in. So they prorated our rent. We didn't have to pay water because we didn't use any water in July. So August, we had no water bill. The other thing that Symphony Apartments was offering was they were waiving all of our fees, our application fees, the pet fees, and look for incentives. Ask about incentives. Ask if they'll waive the fees. You got to ask these questions. But one of the things that was promising for us here was they waived the application fees, they waived the pet fees, and after we've lived here for just a few weeks, we get a $500 gift certificate. That's basically $500 off of our first month's rent. So that was a huge, huge plus for us. So when you're looking for an apartment, you want to make sure that you really understand all of the fees, all of the extra charges that are going to come throughout the month, Otherwise, you're going to be sticker shocked if you look at it and they say it's $1,100 and everything's great and you're like, I'm moving. And then you get there and your rent is $1,500. It's really going to shock you. Wherever you're moving, the rules are going to be a little bit different. There might be tax on your rent. There might be water bills tacked on. Look for places that offer free utilities. That's another great thing. Some places in Arizona actually offered free water. And I'm learning now that that is something to really look for in this area, because you will pay such a high amount of water in your rent. So that was step one of how we moved here on a very, very small budget. Next time, I will be discussing my second trick, leaving our apartment clean. Please join me next time on my next video on how to move to your dream city or dream state on a very, very small budget. I hope that you enjoyed this video and it was helpful for you. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please feel free to comment below with any questions that you have. The next 9 steps are coming, so please be patient. I will probably answer any of your questions in the next video. Please feel free to subscribe to my video so you don't miss the rest of this series. Thank you so much for joining me, and God bless you. Bye.